Hi, I'm Nicole Roberts Jones, and welcome to the FierceFiles. Now, what I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is why I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind-the-curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. Now, I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your career, but in your life. And I want to make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com. Now grab your pen and get ready for today's session of the FierceFiles. Hi, this is Nicole Roberts Jones, and welcome to the FierceFiles. Now, the FierceFiles will have moments where I share thought-provoking conversations with you, as well as behind-the-curtain conversations as I interview women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. So I wanted to take the time to set the tone and share with you why I created the FierceFiles and what you should look forward to as you join us for episodes of this podcast. Now, I started it because back in 2015, I had a stunning revelation. It was one of those soul-stirring whispers that come to you in the middle of the night. You know, when you're awake in the wee hours of the morning and you're laying in bed with your eyes closed because it's just too doggone early to get up and you really want to fall asleep, right? Or fall back asleep, I should say, right? I know you've been there. See, what came to me was an awakening in every sense of the word. And it wasn't about what I was doing. Honestly, it was about what I wasn't doing. And this wasn't the first time I was having a revelation like this. And see, what I realize is that I have these revelations anytime there is more for me to do. And I realize that I'm not alone in this. See, many women just like you and me have these soul-stirring moments calling you into your more. And so I created the FierceFiles as an instrument to support your elevation, to support your increase, your expansion, your more. See, many of us get to a level of success and we feel guilty for having this soul-stirring moment. We feel guilty for this moment calling us into our more. And that is the very reason I wanted to host the FierceFiles, to hold the space for your more. See, this moment calling me into my more in 2015, it wasn't the first time I had a revelation like this. See, my first soul-stirring moment of more happened back in 1993. Now, it happened when I had built an incredible career in the entertainment industry. And see, at the time, I was working for Viacom's largest cable network. We had an outreach to over 89 million homes on a weekly basis. And then from there, I was elevated into a position working for the #1 TV show on Fox. And then I worked for an entertainment group, and we produced, what we produced generated over $12.6 billion a year. See, I was doing all of that. Plus, I was going to all the hot Hollywood parties. I was bumping elbows with all the stars, and I might have dated one or two. See, I was living the dream. However, I got to tell you, it had become my nightmare. Now, don't get me wrong, Hollywood was great. But in the dark of the night, when I was by myself, I began to realize there was more for me to do. See, I also realized that I had followed a path that someone else defined for me, that someone defined as success for me. And I was successful, but in that moment for me, I realized that I didn't even know my own soul. And then one day, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired and living by, or I should say, feeling like I should be thankful because I made it, right? I should be happy where I was. And as I tried to talk to my friends about what I was feeling, they all kept saying to me, Nicole, have you lost your mind? Didn't we go to the premiere party the other night, or didn't you attend the red carpet event? And so that made me feel even more confused about this rumble I was feeling in my belly, making me feel like there was more for me to do. So in the middle of me feeling sick and tired and also now being confused about it, one of my good girlfriends asked me to volunteer with her at a program at our church. And as I walked in that room that night and started working with young women, as I worked with them, their eyes lit up. And as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up. And I realized this is exactly the answer to my rumble in my belly. I knew in that very moment that this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. However, this was 1993 and there was no such thing as a coach, at least not yet, or I hadn't heard of it. And so I couldn't even fathom how I could turn this thing into a paycheck, let alone tell all my friends that I was changing my mind about this glamorous Hollywood thing I was doing that I was getting a paycheck from. So I found myself at a crossroad. And see, on that crossroad, in one direction was the only way anyone would ever recognize me. And in the other direction was this thing I didn't know how I was going to get paid for, this thing that I didn't even know what to call it. But this thing was lighting up my soul. So I had a decision to make. And I don't know if you've ever been there, or maybe you're there right now at the crossroad with a decision that you've got to make. A decision between something that's speaking to your soul versus other people's perception of you. See, that perception makes you feel guilty for wanting more because you already have the kids, the house, the marriage, the quote unquote life. But you've got this rumble in your belly to start your own business. Or maybe that rumble is to tell your story on a stage or in a book. Or maybe that rumble is just to choose you for a change. But whatever that is, you are in the face of that decision right now. Well, that's exactly where I was. See, what I know for sure is that first moment for me in 1993, in order for me to say yes to my more, I had to do it afraid. I had to do it knees knocking and teeth chattering. See, I made the decision to say yes to that next level, leading me out of entertainment and into this thing that I've been doing since that moment in 1993. Now, again, don't get me wrong, Hollywood was great. But I realized in that moment there was more for me to do. I also realized in that moment that I had allowed other people to choose what I should be or do. Matter of fact, I started to feel like I had given other people the remote control to my life, and they were controlling my career. They were choosing what I should do and what I should be. And again, Hollywood was my dream, but my dream was expanding. It was expanding in ways I never, ever thought were possible. And that moment for me, in that very moment, I knew I had to take back my remote. I had to take my control back. And I had to say, sorry, mom, sorry, dad, sorry, friends, sorry, community. I let you guide me and that's my fault. But I'm going to take my control back. Matter of fact, I felt like Janet Jackson. You remember that song, Control, right? And just like she said in that song, this is a story about control, my control. Control of what I say and control of what I do. And this time I'm going to do it my way, right? You remember those lyrics? Yeah, I know those lyrics because I was living those lyrics. And that's exactly what I did. In my first moment or more, I decided to stand in the full power of who I be and really stand in the power of the gift inside of me. And when I did, it didn't just change my business or my career. It changed my life. See, that night I started the work I'm doing now with women just like you, looking to move that rumble in your belly from inside of you to outside. And that is why I'm here. That's why I created the podcast. That is why I am here with you today, to call out that gift in you, to call out what I call your fears. And by the way, let me tell you now, because you'll hear me refer to fierce a lot. What is this fierce I'm talking about? Now, of course, I got this term really watching Miss Beyoncé one day. Now, when she's on stage, she calls herself Sasha Fierce. See, on the stage, Beyoncé is standing in the full power of her gift. She's doing the things she was born to do. She's being who she was born to be, and she's unapologetic about it, right? Would you agree? Now, I want you to imagine yourself living in your very own fierce every day as you live as the highest and best version of who you were created to be, as you go after that more rumbling in your belly. See, the thing that I love the most about Beyoncé is that she is always pushing herself into her next level. For example, in 2013, Beyoncé did something no musician has ever done before. She dropped an entire album complete with visuals for each song without 1 ounce of promotion. Tell me this woman doesn't go after her more, right? And I really want you to think about it. What would it look like? What would it feel like to do you without apology, to live in your very own fierce and go after your more? Now, if you're saying, yes, I'm ready to live in the full activation of the gifts and talents inside of me. And by the way, Beyoncé did that in 2013, already successful, just like you have this rumble in you, and you were already successful, just like I was in 1993. So if that's you and you're ready to live in full activation of your next level, then I want you to hop in our Facebook group. I want you to go there now. Go to findyourfiercemovement.com and say, Nicole, I'm ready to live in my fierce. See, it's one thing for you to listen in on our episodes, but if you really want to lean all the way into your next level, into your more, I need you to be active and claiming it out loud with me in each episode. So if you haven't joined our Facebook group, let me invite you to go to findyourfiercemovement.com. Again, findyourfiercemovement.com. And I want you to write, Nicole, I'm ready to live in my fierce. And use the hashtag FierceFiles. I need you playing full out. And don't worry, it's a safe space that will foster your expansion into your more. Now, my goal for you is that whatever it is you need for where you are in your career, that the Fierce Files will be the catalyst to live out the full activation of the fierce inside of you, which ultimately will call you to live in your more. It will show you that you are not alone in that, and that more that's rumbling inside of you is a push for you to go after the fulfillment and meaning that you really want. And dare I say that you deserve. See, so that first soul-stirring moment I had in 1993 led me to live a life that I never could have imagined. And let me tell you, that moment I got propelled into my more, I was 23 years old in 1993. And guess what? That definitely was not my last. Or you're going to hear me share throughout the course of our time together in Fierce Files about my journey. So you don't get to one level of success and stay there. Not if you're a woman who desires to leave her mark on this world. Girl, there is more for you to do. So just like I had that first soul-stirring moment in 1993, and then I can tell you about my next in 2010, and even that moment in 2015, which led me here to the whole notion and really starting the Find Your Fierce movement and to the expansion of my own territory. I have to acknowledge the one thing that often stops successful women like you from getting and going after that soul-stirring rumble in your belly. And you know what that is? It's the judgment that you may be placing yourself for wanting it. Now, let me ask you, have you ever said to yourself, how dare you want more? You should be grateful for what you have, right? See, anything or any time you feel guilty or anything close to that for wanting more, what you're doing is putting a ceiling on what's possible for you. And if you believe that the sky is the limit, I know you've heard that saying, right? That more is the activation of it, right? That rumble in your belly is calling you one notch up further past the proverbial glass ceiling that the world tells you is there for us. Matter of fact, I need us all bursting through it. See, this podcast is here to give you permission, not just to want that more, but to shatter the glass that would keep you from going after it. So I wanted to give you 3 steps that will help you do that. But before I give you the 3 steps, let me say this. There's a Bible verse, Ephesians 3:20, that says, "Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us." And I want you to think of this for a minute. I'm going to say the Bible verse one more time. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. So let me break this down for a minute. First, look at above all that we ask or think. So that means that your desire for more is bigger than where you are and what you currently have. And it may be something that you would have never even thought to do or could have even seen for yourself. Do you get that? But it's rumbling in you, right? And do you know why? Because just like the next part of this Bible verse says, it's according to the power that works in you. See, you have power inside of you. Do you get that? See, I believe that God places power in each of us at birth. And by the way, that's that fierce in you. And that power is tied to your gifts and talents. And it's the power that is whispering to your soul as it says, "Oh, I want you to turn it up." So to that I say, turn down for what? Right? But in all seriousness, I really hope you know that that rumble in your belly is calling you out to your abundantly above all. So are you ready to go get it? All right. So here's the 3 steps that will help you begin to truly go get it. Step number 1. Oh, and if you didn't think I was going to teach you during my times with you in the thought-provoking conversations, you better think again. So if you didn't have a pen, go grab one. All right. So number one, practice gratitude. The best way to start is to recognize what you've already accomplished. See, gratitude can be summed up as a way of thinking where you acknowledge what you have and be thankful for it in the goal of creating more of it. So as you focus on where you're going, stop and celebrate where you've already been. And oh, by the way, if you really want to do this, I'm walking you through something that I call a more journal. Okay. So I want you to grab your favorite notebook or buy one if you don't have one. Like my favorite one is leather bound and it has ruled paper in it. So the first practice I want you to start is a journal. And there's a more journal. And by the way, this is in the files in the Find Your Fierce movement. Okay. The outline of what I'm walking you through. Okay. So as the practice of your more journal every day, I want you to write down the things that you're grateful for and acknowledge what you're doing. And I really want you to acknowledge the things that you've already done. And as you list out all you're grateful for, next, I want you to stop. And here's number 2, give yourself permission. See, I want you to give yourself permission to want more and to go after it. And you do this by acknowledging how this more will create greater meaning in your life. But also, I want you to think about, what will this more mean beyond just you? What will it mean for your family, for your community? Have you stopped and acknowledged how this expansion of your territory will create an expanded meaning to all those that your life touches? See, I want you to really think about this. Will it allow you to serve more people? Will it allow you to make more money? And understand, when you make more money, it's not about making it. It's about what you do with it. What will making money allow you to do? Will it allow you to pay for your daughter or your son to go to college in cash? Will it allow you to buy your mother a home or maybe take care of your parents as they age? Will it allow you to give to causes you deeply care about? Whatever your more is, I want you to think about the meaning it will allow you to make in this world, and then give yourself permission to go and have the impact you were born to make. So you have to start with being thankful for what you've already done, and then giving yourself permission to have something different at the very core level of asking, believing, and receiving. So let me ask you, have you even given yourself permission to want more and to go after it? See, I want you to be bold enough to give yourself permission daily. Yes, this is the next exercise in your journal. See, I want you to write out the desires in your heart. How will it create greater meaning? And give yourself permission to go after it as you stay in the position to ask, believe, and receive that it will happen, which moves to number 3. The number 3 thing I want you to do to move your more into reality is I want you to take action. See, now that you've practiced gratitude and you're giving yourself permission to create greater meaning as you move into your more, you have to create the strategy to go after it. So yes, this is the third piece to your more journal. And unlike the other 2, which are daily practices, this may be a weekly practice, right? See, I suggest you do this step on a Sunday to set the tone for your week, not a Sunday, every Sunday, to set the tone for your week. Now, if you write out all your goals first, I want you to create a specific goal that you need to accomplish to move into your more, or create specific goals, I should say, that you need to accomplish, right? Keep in mind, we're going to take tiny steps by just looking at this one piece at a time. But I need you to write it all out first. See, after you write it all out, I want you to understand this. If you're eating a pie, you don't eat the whole thing, right? You only eat a piece. And then even with the piece, you eat it one bite at a time. So by planning your goals, well, first writing out everything you need to accomplish, and then taking a bite, a slice every week, and then taking a bite every day. You get that? So by planning your goals for just the week, and then what you'll do daily, you can take small bites that will ultimately lead you toward getting to the whole piece of your dream. And see, to do that, I want you to answer these 3 questions. What do I really want? What do I need to do to get there? Now, this is all the steps it will take to make your dream a reality. And then I want you to ask yourself, how can I break the big goal into smaller, more achievable milestones or action steps? Then each week, I want you to ask yourself, what step can I take this week to move in the direction of my more? And then break it down to smaller pieces and write out what daily steps you can take to move forward. See, a big abstract desire for more can completely overwhelm you, but breaking it into smaller actionable parts and looking at what actions you need to take, you'll start to create a more tangible picture of what you can do starting today. Then once you start to actually taking some of those actions, no matter how small, you will look up and guess what? You'll be in your more. So here's the thing. As you begin to do this practice every week, and then the gratitude and giving yourself permission every day, what's going to happen is every week you'll be able to be thankful for what you've accomplished, and you'll be able to give yourself permission to move to the next. Do you see that? By the way, again, you will find the More Journal handout. It will help you walk through the 3 steps I just walked you through. It's in the files section in our Facebook group in findyourfiercemovement.com. Now listen. The harsh reality is turning a dream into an attainable goal takes hard work. But if you start with these 3 steps and doing this work daily, you'll be able to move toward making your more real. You have to know that there is nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with having desires. Many of life's lessons are learned when you listen to your desires, to that rumble in your belly. So you won't expand or grow if you aren't called to do something bigger than where you already are. And you hear that call through your desires. And by the way, if you haven't figured this out by now, this is more than just a podcast. See, it's my goal weekly to hold the sacred space for you to join me and really join a village of women who are going after that desire in your heart for more. And I'm inviting you to join me and stand with me in this next level push to grow beyond where you are into your next level. To not settle for good enough or mediocre, but to allow yourself to ascend to new heights, both personally and professionally. See, I want you with me, believing that you're extraordinary, that we are all extraordinary because we are. See, this movement to more is for all of us. So if you're saying yes, I'd love it if you pop into our Facebook group, again, Find Your Fierce Movement, and say, Nicole, I'm with you and I'm going after my more. And again, use the hashtag FierceFiles. See, again, I need you naming it and claiming it out loud. No more playing small, no more good enough. It's time for your more. So go and post in our Facebook group and I'll meet you there. For now, let me say cheers to expanding what's possible for you. Cheers to it. I'm celebrating with you. Here's to you living into your abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think as I welcome you to the Fierce Files. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Fierce Files. Now I want you to walk away from these episodes with value, so grab your pen and answer either one or all 3 of these questions. Number 1, what was your greatest takeaway? Number 2, what would you do differently as a result of what you heard? So you may have heard something you've already heard before, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different because of what you heard. Number 3, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So what was something that showed you that you're headed in the right direction? Now, I want you to share your answers. Share your answer to either number 1, what was your greatest takeaway? Number 2, what would you do different? Or number 3, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com and use the hashtag FierceFiles. Now, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into our community to deepen our journey with being the answer someone needs and in being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and be fierce.